Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. We got two AM86As. One actually got delivered to my neighbor because there was miscommunication when the label was being created and the address was my neighbor's address. And since it was addressed to Black Horse Repairs, the guy opened it and said, "Oh, what is that?" Well, where do I return it? It's addressed to me. But there was actually another label with my address, so it was a figurable, but, well, what are you going to do? Sometimes it happens. The important thing is that we got it back. Let's start with this one. But since it was 86A, luckily I have these in stock, so I could just replace it. Just give me the VIN and I'll send you a replacement, and then I'll worry about retrieving your original or something like that. But luckily we didn't need to do anything like that, so it's all good. Now we're going to talk about the right to repair and right to own, and we're going to check out the opinions made by Alex. And recently, did you guys see the video from Tony regarding NLBA device? And he emailed me actually right after the whole thing, because someone said that, hey, Raf is working on an NLBA device as well. And yeah, it is true to the extent, I had the battery that I thought it was fake, and I just wanted to confirm that before I bought the replacement. So I just built a small board that would just connect on I2C to the battery, and indeed the battery is not responding to any codes. So yeah, it was fake. That's why I built it, just for the analysis, and I didn't think it was anything super proprietary. Right? I don't know why they're charging so much money for that. And in addition, because my idea was that there's not going to be any subscription, because it's not a SaaS model, right? Software as a service, because it's not a service. I buy a device that unlocks the batteries. How is that a service? Why do I have to pay monthly for it, or yearly, or whatever, even if it's not a lot of money? So am I buying that device, or am I renting that device from you? I'm fine with either way, either option, but renting should be cheaper, and it should be upfront. You should be upfront about it, saying that, hey, you're not buying this device, you're renting it from me, and at any point I can take it away from you for no reason and stuff like that. At least that would be transparent. But if you're advertising it as the device that I can buy, and then it turns out that I'm just renting it, that's not super cool. And it doesn't really matter what the license agreement says, because on top of license agreement, we also have laws, and those laws need to be obeyed. So you can't just give me a stack of papers, say 300 pages of license agreement, and I have to sign it to buy your device, and then it turns out that with signing that document I signed over my house to you, right? And that would not be allowed, because no matter what license I signed, the license needs to also obey the law. So you can't just take my house because I bought your device, right? And that's when you would like the government to step in. So with NLBA, my device would not have a monthly subscription or whatever, because that would not be right. You buy a device, just like Rework Pro. You buy Rework Pro from me, and some people do ask about that. I had a question a few months ago, I think. Someone who bought Rework Pro and asked, like, hey, I want to transfer it to another computer, right? Do I have to uninstall it from the previous computer to use it on another computer, and that kind of stuff? And I just reiterated, did you read your license agreement? License agreement says You're purchasing software from me. You give me money, you get your software. I keep your money, you keep my software. None of your business what I do with the money, none of my business what you do with my software. Because it's no longer mine, it's yours. That copy belongs to you. End of story. And that cannot be changed for any reason. The same thing when you send me a device for repair, right? You are the owner of that device. And that status cannot be changed for any reason. If you don't pick up that device for 10 years from my shop, it's still your device. If you come back after 10 years, I should have that device in stock still, and I should give it back to you. Yeah, it sucks, but that almost never happens. So, while we're working on this, let's hear what Alex has to say. Let's bring the volume up a little.
Cry about it all you want from now you die and not want to change.
Okay.
If I'm the maker of this device,
yes,
I created that device and I want to provide circuit diagrams.
Right.
I do not want to provide manual, do not want to provide ports.
Right.
So you can fix that phone, want to provide board view diagram. That's
Okay.
a decision. And it's
Okay.
up to you, the consumer, the customer. If you want to buy that device, if you buy it, then it's on you.
So it's my responsibility now, huh? So if only there was some kind of government in the country to make sure, like SEC or Chamber of Commerce or whatever, that would look after me, utilize the taxes that I pay to kind of make sure that the companies cannot legally scam me in any way, right? I strongly disagree with this notion because mainly practicality. What if we put the shoe on the other foot and Alex buys the Rework Pro from me, and after a month of using Rework Pro, I charge him $10,000, right? And I tell him that, you didn't read your license agreement, right? Well, that's what the license agreement says. Wouldn't you feel cheated? So then you go to police, to government, to whoever, right? And reporting me that, hey, that guy stole from me, right? I was misled. And the government tells you, well, you bought it, it's on you. You should have known that Raf is a scammer, not us. Nothing we can do. You bought it, so now Raf is allowed to scam more people. Is that what you're saying? When you buy a phone, do you have to now, somehow acquire the information whether the board views are available? Or do you find that out when your phone breaks and then you regret? But hey, there's nothing you can do about that afterwards. And now the government is supposed to tell you that, it's on you. You shouldn't have bought the phone. It's your fault. Why does iPhone come with a USB-C port nowadays? Because EU said that, hey, if you want to sell that phone on our market, you gotta provide the proper charging port. We're not gonna have, like we used to, right, when the phone started flooding the market, and every phone would come with a different charger. And the government said that, no, that is wasteful. We don't want to do that. That's why we have regulation. Alex, regulation. That's what we're fighting for. We're being screwed over by those companies, and we can't do anything about it. Our purchasing power means nothing to those companies, because they're still going to sell what they're going to sell, because people don't know better. And in some cases, they have to buy, if you're locked into the Apple infrastructure, right? You're stuck with Apple, you have to buy Apple. Right? And if Apple becomes less and less repairable, well, that shouldn't be allowed. That's why we have government for that. And that's what Right to Repair is fighting for. So the government finally puts the stop to this scamming practices. You can just tell the customers that it's completely on them. Why do we even pay taxes if that's the approach, right? So no. What if the companies now start selling cars and, with some kind of proprietary fuel, and the only gas station in the entire US is in Wisconsin? Are you going to be driving from California to Wisconsin every time you need to refuel your car? and by the time you come back to California, you already need to refuel again. Would you be happy with that? Yeah, you didn't know when you were buying it, but it's not like government will now tell you that, well, you shouldn't have bought that car. No, you shouldn't be allowed to sell a car like that. So no, it's not your fault as a consumer. You shouldn't even be able to buy stuff like that, that is intentionally made to scam you out of your money, to squeeze you from every last cent you have. Okay, what else do you have, Alex?
It used to be that you can purchase Microsoft Office in one computer,
Right.
one laptop.
Yes,
You
beautiful
do not
times.
have an online access to Microsoft Office. If they came up with updates, you have to pay for the updates. If you are working on a document and your laptop went off, you're gonna road.
Okay, two different things over there. First of all, I don't have to buy an update. And second, just because it comes with cloud doesn't mean I have to pay Microsoft for that cloud. There are plenty of other solutions to that. I can work on my document on a network drive. I can work on Google Docs. It's a different problem. It's not a problem of right to repair. It's that is on you as a user, how you utilize the tools. If your computer breaks in the middle of your writing a document, well, good for Alex, because he can charge for data recovery, right? Nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying.
Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah.
It used to be that we could buy Adobe $100.
Yes, sir.
Every year they come out with updates where you have to pay $200 to upgrade.
Again, you have to. What do you mean you have to update? I've been using Photoshop 7.0 for years. I don't need anything more. Well, I don't use it anymore because I said screw for Adobe, and I bought Affinity, right? I bought it for, I don't remember, like $30 or something. I have it still. It updates by itself, and usually I don't update it because I don't need it. I don't need an update. If there's a bug, sure, update it. But if there's just new feature or something, I don't need it. So no, I worked on Photoshop 4, 5, 6, 7, and then some of the CS and stuff. But Photoshop 7 is my favorite version of Photoshop, and I can use it. I could use it until today, no problem. And I would if they still allowed me to, or if they weren't how they are, then I would still be using Photoshop 7.0. So no, you don't have to update. That's the whole thing. It's your option. It's an option that you can update. But what Adobe figured is that, hey, our product is so good that you can use it for years to come. You don't need to buy our latest version. So they figured, okay, let's force everybody who uses our product to pay a monthly extortion fee. And that's what makes the money, sure. But that also violates the consumer rights, in my view. And that's what we're fighting for, right? A right to own, not just repair. I mean, repair is also a big part of it, but it's mainly about right to own. You buy something and you own it. Simple as that.
Your current Adobe Photoshop every year.
Every year. Well, says who? Says who? Why do I have to buy new Adobe Photoshop every year? No, I don't. Now I do, because now you have to. But before, you had an option. Now you don't have an option. And in this case, I do agree that it is, you can do something about it, right? Just don't buy Photoshop, buy Affinity, right? If it allows you to do your work. Because I know some of you guys utilize features of Photoshop that Affinity just doesn't have, and so you're stuck with Photoshop. Sure, but if you have an option of using Affinity, just switch to Affinity, sure. And maybe finally Adobe will change something and at least allow some ownership of the software that they sell. Okay, what else do you got?
I bought a house. I talked about it in a previous video.
Congrats.
It was a good investment.
What? How was that a good investment? A good investment is when you buy something, the value grows, and then you sell it. It's a house. If the value went up by, what was it, $700,000, that means you're just paying higher taxes. It's not an investment until you sell it. And who buys a house as an investment? I don't know, someone who buys houses and sell houses maybe. But if you want to live in that house, that's not an investment. When you buy shoes, you also look at it as it's a good investment. When you buy a shirt, you think about it as an investment, or you just want shoes and shirt to wear, and you want a house to live in. In my view, that's the opposite of the investment. You buy a house to live in the house. You want to invest in, I don't know, stock market, S&P 500, whatever. That's the investment. You invest money. You don't invest in the house. And again, it's only money, it's only an asset if you sell it. Otherwise, it's just your liability. It's not an asset. Feel free to disagree. Okay. What else you got?
Do I own the house? Yeah, I own the house. Do you know how much every year? If you buy a house in the US, you do not. You pay in taxes. You can rent an apartment, paying the same.
Okay, Alex, is there a road that connects to your house? Are there light posts on that road? Are there traffic signs, like speed limits and stuff like that? When that road breaks, who fixes that? Do you have to hire a crew to fix the road? That has nothing, paying taxes has nothing to do with you owning the house or not. Yeah, you're paying taxes because you have all that, stuff, right? I don't understand how is that even part of this discussion. Well, taxes, property taxes are equivalent of license or subscription to a house. So you're saying you're renting your house from the government? Even if you don't own a house, you still pay taxes. You pay taxes on income, then you spend that income at the store, and you pay taxes on that. Right? Some people say it's double taxing, and in a way it is, but it's different kind of taxes. You have value-added tax, the tax that you pay for being able to purchase stuff in US, right? And that's what you pay the tax for. So no, we're kind of losing the subject over here. We're talking about the right to own, right to repair, and you're talking about property taxes. You don't have to own a house. And can you not pay taxes? Well, listen, there are places on this planet where you can just leave and you can live there for free in the wild, right? And not pay taxes, right? But you're not gonna have roads, you're not gonna have stores to buy stuff, you're not gonna have a police and fire department and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's a trade-off, but it's possible. You don't want to pay taxes, sure. Actually, in the U.S., I'm not sure about how that works and whether it has changed, but Alaska is a good example. Yeah, wilderness, and I don't know if that's still true, but it used to be you build a house over there, you don't pay taxes, and if you build a house and keep it for like 2 years or 3 years or something like that, then the land becomes yours, something like that. I don't know if it's still like that, but it used to be, at least at some point. Doesn't matter. There are options, right? You don't have to pay taxes necessarily, but if you don't pay taxes, you don't get all the benefits that taxes give you. So it's not like I'm disagreeing with you, but I don't think this is the right comparison, right, to taxes.
I have subscription-based everything.
Oh,
Xbox,
good
for
for you.
example, Ultimate plan. The kids
All
can
time.
download any game. It's every time for $70. they're gonna play that game again.
Okay, but they will still own that game. They can sell that game to a friend. They can keep it on the shelf. And yeah, they're going to play for 2 weeks and leave it. And after a year, they're going to want to play again. Or when they're adults in 20, 25 years, say, and they want to play some retro games that they used to play when they were kids, they can do that, or they should be able to do that. That's like consumerism speaking here now. Like you have to have so many games. You know, I got, well, I do. My son has a Switch, and yeah, he's got a few games, right, on those little cartridges. And you pop in the cartridge, and then you play the game, right? If you're bored of the game, then fine, don't play the game, watch TV or whatever, right? He's got Roblox and stuff. You know, again, that's Roblox is more of a service as well, but you don't pay anything for it. I mean, you can if you want stuff, but again, you don't have to buy new games, and the ones that you bought, they remain yours. That's why you paid $50, $70, or $40 for it. And that's the issue of ownership, right? We want to own stuff that we bought because we bought it, not rented it. I'm not sure we're on the same page here with this example. All right, we got one down, one to go. And we gotta do VVT reset on Impreza. Maybe we'll sneak it in. I'm just gonna dump the EEPROM. Okay, Alex, hit me with another one.
That's my thoughts.
Okay, I respect your opinion. Stupid as it might be, I respect it. And I'm glad it works for you. You're not complaining. Sure, okay. But how much are you willing to tolerate? Where is the line beyond which you would say that no, that's not right, that shouldn't be? I assume you drive a car, some kind of car, right? You gotta get from point A to point B. Say you loaded the car with luggage and your family, and you're going on vacation or something. And you're in the middle of the desert because you gotta drive through, say, Arizona. You're in the middle of the desert and your car shuts off. And you can't drive anymore because the car says that, sorry, the service has expired. We no longer support this car. Okay, go buy a new car. Would you be fine with that? And you would say that, yeah, that's great, because now I used to be obligated to buy a new car every 2 years or 5 years or whatever, and now I just pay a subscription monthly and I get a new car every 2 months. But from time to time, the car shuts off and I can drive. Would you be fine with that? Because that's kind of where we headed, you know. I understand your points, sure. What I'm concerned with is the direction. And no, it can't be on me as a consumer to police the companies, right? And know what to buy, what not to buy, because this is repairable or that has schematics or what have you. That's why you and I paying taxes. You and I are paying taxes for that. So the government can step in and not allow predatory companies to take advantage of you. Say SEC, right? Securities and Exchange Commission. Or there's few of these that kind of watch over that, right? And yeah, the company cannot charge you more than some percentage, right, on your debt or whatever. But those payday loan companies started popping up, right? And I would expect the government to step in, because they're essentially, you know, the credit card company, say it charges you, well, even over 20%. That's still ridiculously high, sure. But those payday loan companies, they can charge you thousands of percent, right? And you get stuck in this loop where there's just no way out. You're theirs forever and ever. You're never getting out of debt. That's why we have laws and regulations. And you would expect the government to step in this case, just like we expect the government to step in case of right to repair. Now, it's not easy. A lot of people are fighting about it, but that's the only way to make a difference. It's not going to happen by itself. And of course, the companies like that, because that's what makes a lot of money. So I've been thinking about that NLBA device. Again, no subscription or anything, because I really don't think this would be fair, because there's no service. But the guy that apparently... Yeah, that is weird, because I don't know whether that's true or not, and I have no reason to believe, to not believe Tony, but you can't even show the device, you can't even show the software or anything like that. That is not something that you can request as a manufacturer of the software. So did I buy it from you, or am I renting it from you, right? And even if I'm renting it from you, you can't tell me what I can and cannot do with it, because I rented it, right? If I rent a truck, other than the specifications of the truck, right? You can't load more than allowed, and, you can't exceed certain speed or whatever. But you can tell me that I can, load my couch, but not my bed, right? Because we don't allow beds. No, I rented the truck, and I'm going to load whatever I want to load, as long as, obviously, there are limitations, like, I'm not going to be loading radioactive waste or something like that, right? But no, you don't get to tell me that. That is horrible. And little by little, we're just kind of accepting ridiculous stuff like that because of opinions like this. It's not a good opinion to have. It's not very productive opinion to have, because this will bite you in the rear eventually. So long time ago, I decided that I'm not going to be on the wrong side of the history and charge people money monthly for a service that I'm not providing. Charge monthly basically for the privilege of using my software. and I still don't, right? And I'm proud of that. And I hope other manufacturers will follow suit. In addition, there is something to Alex's point that you kind of vote with your wallet, because if now someone comes up with a better software than mine, right, for reworking for IR65 and basically for PC410 controller, and they charge you monthly fee for using it, would you switch, or would you support my software? Well, sometimes it's not a matter of your decision, because if the competition has something that my software doesn't have and you necessarily need it, you can't work without it, then yeah, it's understandable. You're gonna go with the competition. Or you're gonna let me know and I'm gonna add that feature. That's probably what would happen. I'm gonna reuse this flux over here. I'm not gonna put more flux. By the way, Alex, you see how well this flux is cleaning? It's an awesome flux. If you want, I'll send you a free sample. It's a really good flux, man. And it smells really good, because it's all natural. Now, anyways, the guy that is very aggressive regarding sharing his awesome software and even showing it, if your only ace in the hand is the fact that the secrecy of your design or secrecy of your device, you don't really have any cards. If that's your, Because what stops me from buying your device and just, you know, opening it and reverse engineering and building the same one, right? If you just, you know, rely on being, you know, having some secret formula, some secret sauce, and you're only on the market because you have that secret sauce, you're not going to stay on the market for long. And as Tony said, the new batteries wouldn't work with that software. But my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, but first of all, smart battery is an open protocol, right? It's public. Now, each company can implement it slightly differently, but the protocol is the same. And the only piece of information that you need to unseal the battery, because as far as reading the voltage and capacity and all that kind of stuff, number of cycles, all of that you can do, you know, when your battery is connected. If you have access to SM bus on your laptop, then you can just write a simple script and just read that. Or there's software you can download that will read the battery specifications and stuff like that, right? And it'll tell you if it's sealed or unsealed, right? Or if it's locked, right? Because the battery will lock itself if there is an issue, right? To prevent explosions and stuff like that. It's a safety feature. That's why the manufacturers don't want you to just plainly unlock the battery, because it locked for a reason, right? So we don't want just anyone to unlock the battery if the battery locked up because of the, you know, cells have uneven charge, right? And if that happens, then one cell is charging the other cell, and that current is basically flowing inside the battery. So we don't want that, right? So for that reason, there is a key that you need to provide, right, to unseal the battery. That key is 2 bytes long. You need to provide 2 bytes, 16 bits, a total of roughly 65,000 combinations. If you test 2 combinations a second, that will take you roughly 9 hours to test all of the combinations, right? So I don't see any reason to have that proprietary knowledge or proprietary keys if they can just be broken like this very easily. Well, maybe not very easily, but they can be broken, no problem. So really building that device is not that hard. I mean, the actually, I would say the most complex and time consuming for me would be to build the hardware for, you know, to test charging and discharging, right? Because it also has to be rather reliable and safe, right? But I don't see that. That's why I didn't really finish working on that, because I just, you know, I did start working on it because I wanted to test the fake battery that I had, right? Confirm that it's fake. And once I did, I just kind of dropped the project because I figured, well, this is easy. Anyone can do that. And for some reason, from time to time, we get greedy coders that want royalties. You want to use my software, you gotta pay every month. Or you want to use my software, sure, you gotta sign this agreement that tells you that you don't really own the software, and you have to return it or something upon request or whatever, right? I don't think that's right, and that is something that someone should look into, like the government, right? Can you actually legally sell stuff like that in this country here, regardless where you're actually selling it from, right? Maybe you're in the EU and you're selling to US or vice versa. If you want to sell it on this market, you have to obey certain rules, right? So you can't just have someone pay, say, $1,000 for a software, and at any point you can just revoke that license and that's it, because I signed the agreement, right? It doesn't matter if I signed the agreement or not. It's not like it's a notarized agreement and, you know, and I gave you a power of attorney or something like that. No, it's kind of the equivalent of if you just write on the piece of paper power of attorney and you give it to me to sign, and then you go to the bank to withdraw everything from my account, showing them that paper. That, hey, Ralph signed that. It doesn't mean anything. The same your license agreement. It doesn't mean anything. Laws are there to protect you, not license agreement. See how easily this flux cleans? I made it a bit too thick though. It solidified a little too much. I mean, it's still usable. It's still fine. It works the same. I think I may have messed up some ingredients, some ratios. It's not the active ingredients though, so no worries. It still works the same. The ingredient that turns it into a gel, right? If you put too much, it's going to turn into wax, which you don't want. And again, it still works perfectly fine. It's just pain to squeeze out. Well, I have more rosin coming today, so I'm going to start refining, I guess, but I ran out of alcohol. So I ordered some more, but it's going to be a few days before it gets here. I'll see if I can maybe find it somewhere locally. Well, what do you guys think? Because we've been ranting for almost an hour, like 50 minutes. What do you guys think? Do you agree with Alex or do you agree with me? Or something in between? Again, I'm not saying he's wrong, I just disagree respectfully. I would like to own what I buy, and I would like the government to look after me, the little guy, not the big company with an army of lawyers and stuff. Why is the government caring about those companies instead of us, the little people, the regular people, the regular folk? I don't get it. And I think Alex's opinion is a little bit counterproductive to the movement. I mean, it would be easier or it would be better if you just didn't say anything, right? Remember what happened to Pirate Software? He went against the essentially right to like the safe games movement. It's basically the same idea, right? You bought a game, but not as the game is essentially a service, right? And if the game is retired, then the binaries for not the source code or anything, but the binaries for the server should be released, so I can set up my own server and I can play the game, right? Because the company retired servers, which is fine, but just release the binaries, right? So we can put our own servers up and play the game. And Pirate Software went way against that because he just misunderstood. But his ego didn't allow him to even consider that maybe his misunderstanding. And that didn't work out well for him. So if you have such an inflammatory opinion on the subject, I would just keep it for myself, keep it to myself, right? Unless someone explicitly asks you for your opinion, then sure. Or perhaps just say, I have my opinions, but I'll keep them to myself or something like that. Right? It's not necessary to be sharing such controversial opinions, because that right to repair is fighting for you to keep your shop, is fighting for you to own stuff, and that is spilling into the automotive. As I said, if once it bites you really hard, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret not saying something opposite, right? If the cars now require subscription to have, I don't know, heated seats and stuff like that, again, this should be the government to step in, not us to vote with our wallet, because sometimes it just doesn't work. What if all the automotive companies suddenly do the same thing and give you a car in a subscription model? Car as a service, right? You have no option to choose one that doesn't do that, because they all do that, right? They can do that. Only the government can actually step in and do something about it. So what we have to do is just continuously fight for the government to actually do something and enforce our rights to own and rights to repair. Well, anyways, hope you guys found this useful, entertaining, or a combination of two. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next one.